Greetings, kids and nerds. I'm Lady Universe and White and Nerdy, and I'm giving you guys a huge nostalgic throwback, especially for me, as this dude is definitely my favorite all-time African American superhero. Long before I've heard of Blade, long before I've heard of Black Panther, and long before I actually more got into Storm. Like I knew that Storm was an African American superhero, but I didn't get more interested in Storm until time basically went on. But I'm of course talking about my very favorite African American superhero. I mean, seriously, this dude still sits up top as my number one favorite superhero of all time. And I am of course talking about the amazing old school series by Dwayne McDuffie, the creator behind this superhero. I'm of course talking about the amazing Static Shock. And we are going to talk about season by season over the course of the series, one maybe like once per month. We'll see how this thing goes. I'm just gonna tell you, I will review this more this year because I have all four seasons. But just be patient with me, and I know I have a lot of Static Shock fans probably subscribe to the channel. But just be patient. Is all I'm saying. If I accidentally forget, just be patient with me. I promise that I will, return to this. But I'm going to be taking a look at the first season of Static Shock. This will be my review, overview, retrospective upon the series known as Static Shock, which is a very famous old school series. So for people that haven't seen Static Shock yet, just be forewarned, spoiler. So just to let people know in case they haven't seen Static Shock yet and they're interested too, please check out the series first, especially the first season, and then come back and watch the review, otherwise spoilers. Did you know that Static Shock actually did not begin life in DC Comics? Actually not. Static Shock at first was an indie comic book, but was later on bought and picked up by DC, especially when Dwayne McDuffie went to go work for them as both a comic book writer and also TV series writer, with people mostly knowing him and remembering him from writing a lot of famous DC animated properties, such as Teen Titans, Justice League Unlimited, and of course the amazing Static Shock series. Dwayne McDuffie is known as the father of Static Shock, and it's very easy to see why. But unlike its predecessors over at Marvel, Static Shock tends to deal with things that a lot of kids probably watching the series have grown up with. Okay, maybe you didn't grow up with the fact that you basically turned into a metahuman superhero, but that's neither here nor there. You know, and I do like that the series gave me a new perspective on what some people might have grown up with. And I'm not one of the people that have been through some of the things that happened in Static Shock, but I can always basically be like, so these people, have kind of went through this thing. If like it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be African American and go through this. You can be white and go through this. You can be Asian and go through this. You can be Native American and go through this. It's like it doesn't matter who we are or what we are that went through this. It's just the fact that you know we kind of had been through this type of thing before. And no, I'm not really saying like racist things. Specifically, I mean it in just a perspective that maybe we went through loss, maybe we went through traumatic experiences as children, and that's what makes Static Shock so amazing. It's not that, yeah, it does deal with racism in a few spots, but it mostly kind of has to revolve around, a lot more happening with that. And people would say that Spider Man is a very traumatic figure. He is? But I have to say, with all sincerity, that I think that Static is the more, um, how would you say, traumatic figure of the things that he went through compared to somebody like even Spider Man or even Batman. You'll see what I mean as more of this review goes on. So, so as such, let's go to the Dakota verse and put a shock in our system. And this is my review and retrospective of Static Shock. Virgil Hawkins did not grow up with a simple family like you would think that he does. He grows up with his older sister, and also he grows up with a very important father figure. And of course, he's best friends with this man known as Richie. As Richie is basically his confidant, the one that listens to him, the one that believes everything that he tells him. Richie is his basically everything. That is until Static lands himself in a lot of trouble, and by a lot of trouble, I really do mean that, as he lands himself in the middle of basically a gang war.
Oh man, I stepped into it big this time.
But in the middle of a police breakout, everybody that's involved in the game war gets caught in an experimental gas. They're known as later Bane Babies. As Virgil gains the abilities of static electricity, able to manipulate it, create lightning and thunderbolts at his own will, he becomes his own superhero. As he would later on become the superhero known as Static Shock, protector and savior of all of Dakota, and basically defending Dakota as best as he can.
You mean, what up with that? Either use slang properly or don't use it at all.
Granted, I do have to say, I do love Static's backstory and know that he's not a joke what you just saw. That literally happens in the first episode. Somebody hands Static a gun, and he basically tosses it into the water as he should, teaching kids a valuable lesson: do not use guns, which you have to commemorate the series for. The series' first episode is also very reminiscent of Batman Begins, when Batman picks up a gun and holds it at a thief. Basically echoing the same detail that guns should not be played around with, as they are very dangerous weapons. But I do like his backstory, that he gets himself into a lot of trouble. He has a lot of bullies, he has things that he has to deal with. But yet at the same time, when he gains his superpowers, he uses them all for naught. But of course, as very similar to some other superheroes, primarily Peter Parker, he begins to realize that maybe perhaps his powers are not for the good of humanity, because he misses being what is considered normal. But of course, he had to realize that he is absolutely no longer normal. He is, in fact, the mid of the normal, as he later on becomes, well, a superhero. As the superhero does deal with a lot of unique supervillains, especially some of the wackier side supervillains. Aside from the supporting characters, you mostly have Virgil, his friend Richie, his father Robert, his sister, and that's pretty much it. Oh, there's later Daisy, but that's neither here nor there. And I forget in my Static Shock logic if Virgil and Daisy end up getting together or not. But before I talk about some of my favorite episodes from season 1, which there's only a couple of them, let's actually just talk about some of Static's really unique villains. Some of them are recurring villains, and other of them are like they're created as a joke character. And oh me, oh my, does Static have some very joke characters. But let's break down Static's own metahuman, or should I say, Bane Baby, cast of characters that are his villains in the series. As aside from Virgil and Richie, they are the only superheroes in the series, at least for the first season. Oh, there's more superheroes that show up, and ones that help, or ones that reform, in the case of one supervillain that I'll be talking about here on this list. But let's talk about the villains of the series, starting with Francis, aka Hot Streak, a metahuman who already had a hot temper as it is, but when he became a Bane Baby, he gets even more of a hot temper. As Francis at first was nothing more than a common bully to Virgil, always beating him up, always picking on him, always basically treating him like a little person. That is until he got powers.
This is gonna be fun.
Then there's Ebon and the Breeders, a group of metahumans or Bane Babies that want to do nothing but protect themselves and make themselves known in the world of Dakota. As the Breeders consist of Talon, a bird girl type of creature, which I can't even explain her myself. Shiv, a being that can create light force energy weapons, so basically think of Gambit, but instead of more light energy weapons that he can use to create and hurt his enemies with. Then there's Ebon, a being that's able to use their shadow force basically to move through the universe as he's hidden in shadow, and he's the leader of the breed.
Weapons, the sharper the better. And this is our latest recruit, a powerhouse of ionic energy, Destruct. He's a little shy at first.
Rubber Band Man, a villain turned hero who basically at first is getting revenge because people were stealing his music, and Rubber Band Man doesn't really like that. But this purple-suited supervillain basically becomes Virgil's best friend and later on turned ally. But that doesn't happen until much later in the series.
Why you doing this, man? What do you want? I want my money and credit for the beats you stole from me. I just rap my rhymes. I got nothing to do with the music. If you wrote it, all proud.
Then there's Dwayne, a little boy who's able to create anything that he sets his mind to, or anything that he thinks that he can create. Basically, he has a very active imagination.
Come on, Dwayne, make him open it. Don't disappoint me.
He'll get it done, bro.
Johnny Morrow, a superhuman being that's able to create clones of himself, because why the hell shouldn't he?
I was 10 years old and I had my own TV series, Johnny on the Spot. My face was on t-shirts and lunchboxes. The whole country loved me. They wanted to talk like me, dress like...
As even Static had some of his goofier villains, such as one that didn't show, such as Carmandillo, a recurring villain that's basically nothing more than a giant mutated armadillo, and also Slipstream. I didn't want to show Slipstream because his costume is not stylish. It's very, very extremely goofy. But with that all said and done, before I officially end this review off, I wanted to talk about some of the more favorite episodes of mine from Static Shock Season 1. Oh, sure, at some point I'll probably make like a top 10 list, but I want to watch all 4 seasons, so that way there that I have more of a complicated top 10 list instead of being like top 10 Season 1 episodes, top 10 Season 2 episodes, and everything. It's like, no, let's try just to work our way down. Let's just try this first. So, here is a very small list of, and the good thing is with Static Shock is that you can jump in at any episode and watch it from beginning to end and feel basically good as you come out on top. So, by that I mean you don't have to follow it through episodic order, except if you want his origin story, then yeah, start with the first episode, but you can jump in really at any given point in time and basically just enjoy the episodes for what they are, just really good animated episodes. So let's talk about a few of my very favorite Static Shock episodes that exist within the form of Season 1. Like I said, the other season reviews are coming, but let's just start with some of my favorite episodes that exist within the latter half of Season 1. Sons of the Fathers. This is an episode that really tackled one of the greatest subjects that I think that any animated series has ever tackled: racism. Static and Richie had been best friends for ages, it feels like, in this series, but Static basically had never been over to Richie's house, but that's only for good reason. So Richie decides to invite Virgil over, basically to just spend the night, stay over, as best friends do, while he hopes that his father is not at home. That is until Richie's father does indeed come home, and he's not too happy in a mood, and he's also not too happy to see an African American inside of his own household. Because as we find out, Richie's father is, yes, racist, as for some weird reason he hates any and all African Americans.
It's a bad influence. All his kind are.
Keep your voice down.
It's bad enough I gotta deal with them all day long. Now one of them's in my house.
Well, you got what you wanted, Dad. My best friend's gone because of you and your stupid racism. I hate you! Hey!
It's a really good episode that teaches a really valuable lesson that we should never hate another person just because of the color of their skin or because we simply don't understand them. And this is a damn good episode that is worth watching, so if you want my highest episode recommendation of what to watch first, please watch Sons of the Father first. It is amazing. Child's Play is another important episode that teaches us basically one very important factor to basically fall into the family that we are basically born into. Dwayne has a stepbrother, but of course he's not very impressed with his stepbrother, as his stepbrother wants absolutely nothing to do with his little stepbrother. That is until he realizes that his stepbrother has powers, and yet he can use them to gain his advantage, so he abuses his own stepbrother. This is simply nothing more than an episode about abuse, but it's a damn good episode that teaches us that abuse can happen to anyone, especially good people, especially step siblings. As it is definitely worth to watch, and it is definitely worth your time if you can watch this episode. It is really damn good, very well written, and very well voice acted also as well.
So I'm gonna wait.
For what?
Till I'm sure what the right thing is. Might take a while.
You've got time.
Winds of Change is another great episode that is definitely worth watching, but not because of the goofy villain that was introduced, but because of the story that happens between Static and Richie. Static and Richie keep fighting like a married couple. Honestly, it's more funnier than you actually think that it is, because Richie wants Static to do what's right for the city, while Static wants to be a normal kid. Which of course leads into them fighting with each other, and throughout the entire episode, the two are constantly bickering at each other or trying to get on each other's nerves, and it's pretty hilarious. But it's a great episode that teaches one thing. It teaches all about friendship and kindness. Like, it's nice to care about a friend, but you have to know where to cross the line. And also, yes, it might include one of the goofiest villains ever put to cartoon screen, but I digress when I say that Winds of Change is an absolute blast.
Sorry, bro. Not your fault. Listen, V, you were right. I'm not the superhero on this team. I'm just the sidekick. And a lousy one, too.
Don't sell yourself short.
So, is Static Shock worth to watch? Of course it is. Especially, it still has impactful messages, like I said, about bullying, racism, and tons of other stuff in between, especially also between family abuse and especially loss. Yeah, I didn't mention it, but in the series they do play upon Static losing his mom, which of course anyone losing their mother or father is a very traumatic experience, and it's one that still hits at home to you very, very closely. I just didn't feel like it would kind of like worth bringing up because it's not become important until towards season 3 and 4 with one of my very amazing favorite episodes. But we'll get to that more as time goes on. Static Shock is one of the amazing DC animated properties. If you think of like Justice League, Batman the Animated Series, Batman Beyond, Teen Titans, Static definitely rises up to the top. And like I said, Static is my favorite African American superhero of all time, as he was the one that I was first introduced to long before Blade, Black Panther, and especially Storm. And if you want to know why, then definitely check this series out. And one thing I have to mention, Phil Lamar, as amazing as a voice actor as he is, as some people will go, Phil Lamar is Green Lantern. That will always be true, but to me, personally, while I do love his John Stewart, Phil Lamar will always be my Static Shock. He just fits the voice for Virgil just so perfectly, and he would perfectly cast with the role that he was handed. So if you're looking for something different to review for this new year, like if you want something new for a movie to watch, TV series or cartoon series to watch, I definitely will recommend Static Shock. It is a great watch, it is definitely worth your time, and it will definitely put a shock straight to your system. It's awesome, it's amazing, so go and check it out. I do have to mention one thing, but I'll wait until afterwards to talk about it, about one thing about Static Suit that I don't like. But more on that in just a bit. But I still do recommend Static Shock to you guys, and it is nothing short of awesomeness.
I put a shock to your system.
Now don't get me wrong, Static's outfit has always been awesome, but I don't really like the white t-shirt or tank top that he wears with the lightning symbol, and I think that it actually and honestly looks better in his season 3 and 4 outfit. Yeah, I'm sorry to say, but I'm a sucker more for the black aesthetic outfit that he ends up wearing, especially with the purple and gold coat, which makes him basically stand out a lot more than his season 1 and 2 outfit. I still do enjoy it for the most part, but I wish that his costume would have stayed consistent throughout the entire series. But I get it, it's very similar to Batman the Animated Series, where it had where it had the very iconic look, and then went for the even more iconic gray and black suit. So there you go. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'm really devoted to White Nerdy. Keep eating on, and please be sure to check out That It's Shock, as it is awesome. Yes, it is kind of expensive to order on Amazon, but if you have the money, there are a few people that do a bundle buy where you can get all 4 seasons, and you're gonna be shocked at the at what I'm gonna say, but you can get all 4 seasons for basically a little under $100. I said a little. I didn't say that it was going to be very cheap, but it could be cheaper now. But each and every DVD roughly cost about around $10 a pop. So you're basically looking at $40 if you buy them basically that way. That's the way how I did mine. So, but it's still worth to watch. And what's great about the DVDs, people, is that each and every one is subtitled. So for anyone that's deaf or hard of hearing, there you go. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really need to want you to keep it on. And if you like the channel and want to support it in the best way to do so is by liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, and hitting that bell icon so you can be notified every single time I can upload. If you want to talk to me or see whatever that I'm working on or whatever that I'm talking about, be sure to follow me at Twitter with the link in the description down below. But I will use the voice. I want you to keep it on. And until next time, guys, and as always, take care.